Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, or good evening. I don't know what time you guys are watching me on the video. My name is Karoku, and I am one of the small groups pastors at Saddleback Church, Lake Forest campus. And I'm leading a community leaders team that supports small groups that speak different languages. And I'm very thankful that you guys invited me to speak to you a little bit about what is happening at Saddleback Church for the small groups that speak different languages. I'm married to my wife, MK, and for 9.5 years, and I have two kids, Tehila, which is 6, and Theodore, he is 4. And Tehila means sing to God in Hebrew, and Theodore means a gift from God in Greek. So basically, Tehila was born when I was taking a Hebrew class, and Theodore was born when I was taking a Greek class. And I'm Korean, and I'm here serving small groups at Saddleback Church that speak 29 different languages. So my surrounding is somewhat related to language. So I'm really thankful that I get to serve small groups at Saddleback Church. So today I would like to talk to you a little bit about what we do to support our small groups that speak different languages. First, serving small groups that speak different languages is not just our strategy, it is our value for worship. Psalm 22:27 says, "All nations will remember the Lord from every part of the world that will turn to Him. All races will worship Him." We take this Bible verse very seriously. We don't just want to create this worship environment for English-speaking only people or Chinese or Korean. We want to invite every person who speaks different languages to the worship so that we can give God the glory. Sometimes people have these misunderstandings of when someone is speaking in different languages, or the diversity is something or someone is better than the other, or something is right or something is wrong. But we need to have the right understanding. It is not right or wrong. It is not like more or less. It is about different. We are different. God created us to be different so that we can give God the glory. So we need to show respect for all people, and it is not a recommendation. It is how God created us to love one another, whether we speak the same language or not. So according to the survey that we did several years ago, we asked people, what languages do you speak? And people answered with 67 languages at Saddleback Church. And we do have small groups that meet in 29 different languages. And we don't want them to be isolated. We don't want them to be just separated from the whole church. We want them to be invited to worship. We want them to feel welcomed to worship with the whole church. So whether you are speaking in Korean, English, Chinese, Japanese, or Tagalog, or Farsi, or even American Sign Language, we want to welcome everybody to worship. So language small groups, it's not just our strategy for serving people who speak different languages. It is our value of inviting everybody to the worship. Second, in order to support our language groups, we build ministries, not materials. To us, it is very important that we build ministries that speak different languages, because some people might be asking us, okay, I speak Korean and I want to meet my small groups, and I need materials in Korean in order for me to study the Bible and all that. But it's not the materials they need, but then they need people in their small groups who can listen to their stories and who can explain, who can walk through the journey of faith, who can cry together, and who can celebrate with them, right? So it's not the resources, it's not the materials, it is the people, it is the ministry. 1 Corinthians 12:27 says, "All of you together are Christ's body, and each of you is a separate and necessary part of it." So we are not all head, we are not all eyes, we are not all mouth, or we are not all hands or feet, we are different part of the body and we speak different languages, that means people who are also a different part of the body. And according to our shape, we serve God more effectively. And think about this. This is one of the teachings that we do at Saddleback Church. We believe all people, all members are ministers. Not everyone is a pastor, but then everyone is a minister, and they can serve God according to their shape. So shape is something that we teach. So when there's a water bottle, one is with plastic, one is with paper cup, one might be good for cold water, one might be good for hot water, and some cups might have like leaves, some don't, some might have like straw or things like that. So when two things are different, you are not going to just say this is better than the other. They are different. That means that has different use, different purpose, right? So we talk about spiritual gifts, heart, abilities, personality, and experiences. And think about this. When someone is able to speak in different languages, that person's shape is so much beneficial for other people who speak the same language, right? So we invest our time and energy on training and equipping people who speak different languages and who have the heart for serving. So we want to equip them, we want to empower them so that they can serve other people who share the same cultural or language backgrounds. So we do have translations available when they are coming to worship or small groups. So when whenever we are doing a church-wide campaign, small group campaign, for example, 40 Days of Prayer is the one that we did last year. We do have translations in Spanish, Chinese, and German. Because we do have international campuses and we want to help them, but not only those languages that we have the international campuses are using, but there are also translation volunteers come to us, like Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, and even American Sign Language. They say, can we translate this for our people? And we are going to say, like, of course, we want to serve everybody to be able to serve one another. But then we don't just tell them what to do, but they come to us and we've been helping them to be ministers to other people. And so church-wide campaign is one, but then throughout the year, we also have a small group study called Talk It Over. So Talk It Over is the small group study based on the weekend messages. So people are translating Talk It Over study guide, like discover questions or the videos when there's a need for their small groups. But here's the thing, it might be a really good place for people to just come to their small groups and just simply able to talk about it. Not just because they have the translations ready for their small groups, but when people are going to their small groups who speak the same language, they already know that there are people who can serve them, and they also know that they can serve one another. So again, we don't invest on resources, we don't invest on materials, we invest on people. It is about ministry, not the materials. Third, I'd like to share with you about this. This one is really, personally, this is really huge. Language small groups are a wonderful tool for sharing the gospel with other people, especially people from different countries and different nations. Matthew 28:18 and 19 says, Jesus came and told his disciples, I have been given all the authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. Evangelism is not a recommendation. Again, evangelism is not a suggestion. It is a commandment, and it is the commission that Jesus was sending his disciples. We are his disciples, sent to go to all nations. But think about this. When I want to invite someone who's from Iran to Jesus Christ, first I need to get to know them. I need to know the culture. I need to know the language. And it takes time. What we want to do is to deliver the truth of the gospel, right? But it requires trust and it takes time. So it is a lot more effective when we are ministering to people who are in our small groups, who speak Farsi, who are from Iran, and who understand the cultural background, historical background, and also who know the language. They are here, they are becoming Christ followers, and they are exercising, and they are growing in faith, and they are becoming passionate about sharing the gospel with people with whom they already know, whom already they have the relationships with. They have their families and friends back in their own countries, right? So it is a lot more powerful that way to minister to people who are in Iran than me, Korean, trying to understand the language, culture, and all that. So evangelism is one of the important functions that our language small groups can do. When Jesus commanded his disciples go to all nations and share the gospel with people, it wasn't physically possible. 2,000 years ago, people weren't able to travel so far away. But today, nowadays, like most of the countries, most of the areas, you can actually go there within 24 hours. And we have internet, we have this technology that you can instantly send out email or messages to all kinds of people with all kinds of methods. And another thing is the all nations, people from different countries and different ethnicity, they are actually living in our neighborhoods. So nowadays, we don't really need to go to all countries. We need to, but then they are actually living right next door to our homes. So we need to be able to be passionate, but then we also need to be able to equip our people for evangelism so that people who are from different countries and different backgrounds can be heard and can be received when they are coming to our town. So in order for us to reach out to all nations, we need small groups with people from all nations. That is what we see at Saddleback Church. Fellowship is another big one for our language small groups at Saddleback Church. Language small groups, they invite people and become a part of the church and fellowship with brothers and sisters in Christ. Matthew 28:19 says, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Baptism is a symbol of Christ's follower becoming a part of God's family. Isn't that true? So when someone is, think about this, when someone is coming to the United States, for example, for us, they might not know a lot of people here in the United States, and language and culture might be really new to them. And they're like, okay, I need this, I need that, but then I have nobody to ask these questions. I'm lonely, I'm about to experience so many new things, but then I don't know who to ask these questions to. So that person might feel isolated, insecure, and even frustrated. And those are the people that we want to minister to, and we want to welcome them to a part of God's family. So language small groups open the door for them, and when they are here, we want to welcome them, and when they are joining our small groups, they can know that people in that small group understand the language, of course, but then not just the language, they also understand where they are coming from, what they are trying to say, and what they need, and they even share fun cultural events or even food. Food can be a really important thing for our small groups, right? So it is, we want to tell our small groups, especially the ones that speak different languages, we want to welcome other people who share the same cultural and language backgrounds. So in our small group, we want to cry together and celebrate together. And language small groups, they are perfectly designed for that. Lastly, language small groups create pathway for people to grow in faith. And we want to help our language small groups to walk the journey together and become more like Jesus Christ. And that is called discipleship. Discipleship is not just about learning the Bible. And many people ask us about this. When someone is joining a small group, okay, we want to study the Bible. Can we study the Bible in Chinese, and can we study the Bible in Japanese and Korean and Farsi? That is all good questions. You want to be able to get those materials, and you want to be able to minister to one another. But then it is not just our head knowledge that changes us. We need to be able to actually trust. We need to have the belief. We need to believe what we just learned, right? But not just that. We need to be able to actually do it. We need to be able to do what we learned, what we believe, and we need to be able to do it. That is what it means to become a follower of Jesus Christ. We talk a lot about what would Jesus do? But Jesus might be asking us not just to think about what he would do. He's asking us to do what he would do, right? So we need to believe, we need to know and everything, but we need to do it. So in our language small groups, we encourage one another to actually serve in ministry, to talk about it, to believe, and to be passionate about what God might be calling us to do. And we want to encourage them to think about, not just to do, and even more, we want our small groups to think about what they need to become. So we belong together, and we believe, and we become more like Jesus Christ, and we follow Jesus Christ together. So when someone is saying, okay, my English is not good, I'm really new to this country, and I don't know, I'm a little bit shy about learning new things. Let me tell you one thing. Sometimes people ask me this question. Okay, since your team and you support small groups that speak 29 different languages, how many languages do you speak? I speak 1.5 languages. That's what I tell people. I speak Korean and I speak somewhat broken English. But I serve small groups with my community leaders. The community leaders are the ones that we call our volunteer leaders, and they are the ones who speak different languages, and they are the ones who are passionate about Indonesian, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Persian, and all kind of people group. And I am one of them. So we serve one another, and we as a team serve our small groups together. So when we are seeing obstacles right in front of us, they might be really frustrating, they might be really challenging, but we want to teach our people, we want to equip and encourage our people not to see that language barrier as an obstacle. We want to see that as an opportunity to minister to people, worship God, and reach out to people for Jesus Christ. The vision of Saddleback small groups is to see every person, from the core of the church to ever-growing community, connected in a healthy small group. That is our vision. And our mission comes from that. Our mission of small groups is to balance the Great Commandment and Great Commission in every heart of group and member. Language small groups vision and mission is not an exception. We want to help our small groups, whether they speak in English or Chinese or so many different languages, we want to help people connected in a healthy small group, and we want our small groups to become healthy small group by balancing the Great Commandment and Great Commission. And when people speak different languages, and when small groups speak different languages, they may have different dynamics. They may have different needs. But it is important that all of our small groups to share this one biblical purpose of giving God the glory by worshiping God together and loving others more and inviting all people to Jesus Christ and fellowship with brothers and sisters in Christ. and also become more like Jesus Christ, which is discipleship. I hope it has been beneficial for you to understand what is happening at Saddleback Church for the language small groups. But more than that, it is my prayer that we see people from all nations coming together and worship God, love people, serve one another, and share the gospel with people, and fellowship, and also become more like Jesus Christ. God bless you.